What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chiefin With Daily Dale. I'm your host, Dale Fowler, along with my partner Lonny. How you doing today, bro?
Good, good. It's a little gloomy here today on this Sunday in KC, but we doing good.
Man, it was just a thunderstorm out there, was it?
Yeah, it's about to be another one. It was uprooting trees from the ground and a whole bunch of crazy stuff is going on. People's lights is out. Prayers for the people. His lights is still out. Hopefully, people still get back power. My nephew got power about 5 a.m. 5 p.m. yesterday, so it took them a while to get around to everybody. They still getting around to people, but yeah, we trying to recover. It was a pretty bad storm.
And that's tough. That's one thing I do not miss, being in all those tornado warnings, those thunderstorms. Up here, it's like dry. It's like once it rains, like it doesn't stay on the ground forever because the ground is so dry, so it sucks up all that moisture and everything like that. So like it's really tough. But at the same time, but at the same time I miss it because you like those sleeps when it's thunderstorming, lay down, you like the sounds of the nature outside and everything. Like that's something I would say that I miss, but hey, it is what it is. I don't miss the snow though. So
Yeah, you don't miss it. You don't miss it one bit. And you miss it until your power is out all day, and now you got to go buy everything in your
man,
refrigerator because the refrigerator done rotted. And my
yeah.
nephew, like I said, his was out for a whole day, so everything in his refrigerator is done. So he has to go buy all new items.
That would have made me mad. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
That would've made me mad.
So it's
All
like
right.
that's more stuff y'all don't have to worry about. Just be thankful. But we brighten it
Yeah,
y'all Sunday. The Sunday up though, we're gonna brighten it up.
yeah, for sure. Now, I mean, definitely going to be discussing some Chiefs talk today. We're going to talk about non-Chiefs players who needs to have a strong training camp. We're going to talk about the recent comments coming from Tyreek Hill, how the Chiefs motivated him. Now he wants to go out and have 2,000-yard season and try to bring the championship over to Miami. Mecole Hardman, Hard Knocks coming up, first year with the Jets. He's going to be on Hard Knocks, so we're going to get to see his story in a sense to see how he feels, coming off of one of his toughest seasons, one of his worst seasons in his NFL career, but that's due to injury. And then also we're going to recap the quarterback series that featured our star quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Now, jump into our first topic. Like I said, Tyreek Hill says he will use the Chiefs' recent success to motivate him and hope to bring a championship to Miami. He also says he plans to have a 2,000-yard receiving season. This will, I believe, break the NFL record as well too. Justin Jefferson just came off one of his best seasons as well, having over 1,800 yards, breaking Randy Moss record as well too. So Lonnie, what are your thoughts about that? And do you think this can likely happen for Tyreek Hill in the Miami Dolphins?
So I don't want to be the person that pisses on the parade for Tyreek, but I don't think it's happening for the Dolphins. I don't see it happening. They are a great team. They did get good on defense and was able to add some really good great players on defense and just make some good additions there. Adding Jalen Ramsey, Nick Chubb, but I don't see them competing for a championship as of right now. I think all of that is contingent on the quarterback play. It's a lot of inconsistencies at the quarterback position. It's a lot of question marks at that position. And that's one of the most meaningful positions. We'll get to it later. In football, you see how that you can win or lose a game based off the quarterback that you have. So I feel like until that question mark is shown that they can sustain or has the ability to play several games, and I'm alluded to Tua Tagovailoa, until he's able to show that ability, I don't see this happening for the Dolphins just because there's too many inconsistencies there. Yes, Tyreek is great, but Tyreek is not a quarterback. He can't throw the ball to himself. So he has to have somebody to get him the ball. He has to have somebody to put him in those positions to be great. Now, I know Tua did take some steps to get better at just like defending himself as far as when he gets taken down or getting tackled.
He bulked up as well too.
Yeah, he's bulked up as well too. But I just want to see how if he can hold up. I do think they can be a playoff team. That's not to say that the Dolphins can't be a playoff team. I think they will be competitive, but I don't think they're in the same breath or vein as the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, or the Kansas City Chiefs. Just being that those teams have been together for a long time, we're going on 3 or 4 years now, with their quarterbacks at their position, and they're at the upper echelon of quarterbacks. So those systems are already, the groundwork is already put in place for those systems to be successful. I don't think the Dolphins have that yet. But it'll be good to see if they can get it, and if they show 1 year of success, then if we're talking about a year of success, they made it to the divisional, ended up making it to the AFC Championship. Then yeah, we're talking about a different team. The Dolphins might be going to play for a Super Bowl, but the Dolphins made it to the divisional round, and
But Tua was hurt,
Bills team. Yeah, yeah, and that's
and
why I
they
said
made it, and they still made it
that's a
to it.
part. That's a part of it to me. The availability thing. That's all a part of it. That's why I say that this is far fetched, because he hasn't shown that he can be available for those important games yet. Until he can show that he can be available and be successful in those important games, I can't give that to Tua. He has to show more consistency. And I know injuries are not his fault, but they're part of the game. And you have to be able to manage those and be able to come back and show what you can do, even though that you may be injured or whatever. You have to put yourself in the best position to be successful. A la Mahomes. Like I said, we'll get to it later, but you see the quarterbacks put themselves in the best position to be successful, and whether it be treatment, whether it be working on things during the season. So I feel like Tua Tagovailoa, he probably does those things, but he dealt with some really unfortunate injuries, and due to those injuries, I don't think the Dolphins are consistent enough to even compete for a championship yet. Let alone Tyreek. We talking about he gonna get 2,000 yards. I mean, if you're gonna get end rounds all game, if you're gonna be running end rounds and like be 90% of the offense, then yeah. But who wants to do that? Because like eventually, as we can see, as we've seen with the Chiefs, Tyreek is stoppable too. So
I will say this: Tyreek, he had 1,700 yards in the season as well. This is his best season in his career. His best season before that was only 1,276 with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020. But I mean, he did get more touches. He did average more yards a game as well too. His touchdown total just went down per the years. And I think that just because of the lack of ability from Tua Tagovailoa. Now he did have to start off the season great. And what he does best is he get the ball to his playmakers, and then they make plays after that. So that's why their yak and those other categories as well has been phenomenal. Tyreek Hill, I don't think he gets 2,000 yards this season, but honestly, I will tell you this, bro. I will say, don't be surprised if we do see them in the AFC Championship game. I think because they have the defense, and then we saw what happened with Jalen Hurts as well last year as well too. Now I understand this is the AFC conference and it's a lot tougher than the NFC, but you see that type of style of quarterback being able to make it into the league. Now he's not as much of a runner as Jalen Hurts. He's someone who likes to stay in the pocket or be mobile in the pocket, get out and then try to get it to one of his guys. But at the same time, I think just with the weapons that he had and have a great tight end as well too, that offense is loaded. And then they have a loaded defense as well too. I think Tua stays healthy this season. I think he's aware of what happened to him last year, and he has that awareness of like, okay, I need to protect myself. So you're going to see him get the ball off a lot quicker than what he had done already, and he did that in the early part of the season last season. You saw him just when Tyreek or Jalen Waddle gets to that 5 or 10 yard, like like 5 to 7 yards past the line of scrimmage, he's getting it right to them. So that's around 2 or 3 seconds in the pocket. That's hard for the defender to defend already. So I think he's going to move a lot quicker than that. And then I think as well, they bulked up that offensive line and they locked down some guys that they wanted as well too. I think the protection of Tua is the importance for the Dolphins this season, because I feel like they felt they had a chance last season if he wasn't hurt. They got down to their third string quarterback. And for them to only lose by a touchdown in that divisional round game, well, wild card game, that was, you know, it's like, okay, I mean, you can do something. If that was two out there, because he would have made the plays that other guy couldn't have. The opportunities that they have on turnovers or on turnovers on downs or turnovers throughout the game, he could have probably capitalized and put points on the board for the Dolphins to where they could have probably had a lead and then they could have been playing. The other team could have been playing from behind, right?
yeah.
So I say this to say, like, he's not far fetched, but as we're not being homers when we say this. Like, our team is just literally the best team in the league now. We're the model team. We're the team that's structured well, positioned well. We have the coaching staff. We have the talent, and we have the experience from the Super Bowl as well too.
Yeah.
So
And,
even if they were to get to the AFC Championship game, I don't think they will go to the Super Bowl
yeah.
because I think we will put a halt to that. And
Yeah.
I think that will be a matchup the Chiefs will rather prefer than the Bills or the Bengals, just because that is a young, inexperienced team. They have
Yes,
talent.
and that's the only reason I'm saying that it's far fetched is because we have some really experienced teams in the AFC now. This is like when Brady, it was Brady and the Pats, and then it was Ray Lewis and the Ravens, and then you had Manning and the
You
Colts.
got
This is
you
reminiscent
got
of
Big Ben and the Steelers.
the Big Ben
Wow.
and the Steelers. This is reminiscent of those times when you have quarterbacks at that position that are reaching the upper echelon of quarterbacks that have had playoff experience, that have playoff wins, and have all of these different things on their resume. And then you have Tua Tagovailoa that is yet to make it through a full season. So do you get what I'm saying? That's my dilemma
Mhm.
here. Of course, if Tyreek was with any of these other quarterbacks, of course, yes, it's an automatic playoff team. You may win another Super Bowl. But being that you're with a quarterback that has question marks just on his availability as a whole, I can't say that you're gonna make it to the AFC Championship, or you're gonna get close or breathe on it, because we got a lot of quarterbacks. Even we have Aaron Rodgers now coming over to the AFC, and they have a great defense. Sauce Gardner on that side, a great defensive
Yeah,
line. DJ Reed,
and they in the
so
same
like
division.
yeah, CJ Mosley. So that you got some dogs over there in the AFC. So you're gonna really have to grit your teeth, grind some games out, and your quarterback is gonna have to be available and have the best decision making in some critical situations to really win you some games. And we're gonna see. And that's the biggest thing, the biggest and best thing about football is that we can sit here and talk about it all day long, but we'll see when all the chips are on the table and everything falls. We're gonna see where everybody lands. But I just can't see them doing that, being that there's so many just like these like great defenses that've been together for a while. CJ's been in with the Jets for a while now. I think at least
Yeah,
3 or 4 years. So um, and you have the guy Logan Wilson and that plays for the Bengals. You have some defenses that have been together for a while now. Just and the Buffalo kids, Matt Milano, those Ed Oliver, those people. So you have some defenses that are that are cohesive. They've been together for a while. That's why I think this question and this topic gets a little tricky, because with all of that experience in there, and then the Dolphins to be going through what they went through these past years, it's a lot of question marks there that I just can't say for sure. Boom, you're in. You're gonna play through the divisional. You're gonna get to the AFC Championship because you've been together for a while, and your defense is just stout. But we've seen it before. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again. But that's all. That's all I have to say on that.
I mean, every year we always have some type of Cinderella team, right? Some team that just does more than what you expect. I think that was the Vikings last season with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, all those guys over there. They just really surprised a lot of the whole league with how they played. And I mean, they ended up losing in a wild card game, but at the end of the day, that we just saw something that okay, this could have been a team that could be competing for a Super Bowl. Uh, but with Tyreek and the Dolphins, I just say I just don't be surprised,
Yeah,
because say if they do beat us in Germany, that's probably going to give them some motivation of like, oh, we can beat anybody, and they can go into the playoffs with confidence. And while they can still play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, even though they beat us in the regular season, for somehow the Chiefs always have the record or have the just that solid luck on them to pull off that number one seed or at least be in the top two, or something happens to where in the championship game they have the home field advantage. So it's just they can get them confidence in the early part of the season when we meet up in Germany, but that don't mean it's going to translate in the playoffs as well too. So, and I think that's one game that they have circled on the calendar where it's like, I think that's a lot for a lot of teams as well too. They circle the Chiefs on the calendar because this is our playoff element type of game. We beat them, we build a lot of confidence off of that. We can beat anyone. We did it with our years before when with the Patriots. Oh, we beat the Patriots with the year. We beat the Patriots and the Eagles that year.
we can
Oh,
beat
we should have
anybody.
been in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That gives them type of they use that as leverage for themselves, especially against other competition to where they're not as good as us. So that gives them more motivation to go out there and ball out. But hey, we'll see how it goes. I don't think he's getting 2,000 yards though. So I don't think it's him. So
Yeah, and that's not to throw no shade. We're
you
not
want to prove your
homers. We're
ideal,
not
right?
being homers. It's just like it's you
Yeah.
have to show, and we don't. And you as an offensive player, and this is not to even try and be funny. I know a lot of people in the comments probably gonna be throwing shade at me, but you don't want to have a 2,000-yard wide receiver like you are, and you can have one, but you want another
That
wide
means it's
receiver to have
solely
like
based on you.
exactly.
That's
Your
solely
offense
on
is
you.
solely based on you. That is like one of the, and that's why I love Tyreek to death. But
And they was never
the way
confident in
he
him too. They're gonna
plays,
do it here. Like,
exactly the way he plays is predicated on him being healthy too. And to have that much offensive weight riding on your shoulders, and you're not a quarterback, somebody that's handling the ball every play, it's just a big ask of yourself. But he has been able to show that he's been able to
and you touching on
get
you
better at that.
closing in on 30. So eventually some of that tank gonna start, dying down a little bit. So you gotta be aware of that too, and you gotta take care of your body as well. That's just too much on you. And for a talent like yourself, you want to be able to have that in the second part of the season. When I say the second part of the season, the postseason. You know what you did over here in Kansas City. That's why you were always a threat in those games as well too, because you had guys like Travis Kelsey or Sammy Watkins or a D Rob in there who can come in, or a Pringle who can come in and like have that wide receiver room to where it's not solely on you, but you are the guy.
Yeah.
But you have somebody over there like Jalen Waddle, Barrios, all those other guys as well too. So just keep in mind of that. And Tua, I think with him being more of a how can I say it, like a was an intermediate type of passer to where he's not really a deep ball threat. Uh, I don't know how much that's going to weigh in, because you got to think about it too. When you get the ball in your hands, yeah, you can make a couple guys miss, but guys are surrounding you as well too. So you got to
Yeah.
have a lot of times to where you're just breaking off big runs, and that's accumulating your yardage as well. So I would just say keep in mind that I think all those things play a factor. But I think he could go up 100 more yards, somewhat similar to what Justin Jefferson did last season, especially if Tua stays healthy as well too. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, because we can talk about Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins all day. Uh, but another former Chief, this is former Chief Day, former Chief Mecole Hardman is expected to be a part of the Jets Hard Knock series that is coming up on HBO. What do you expect to see from Harden in this series, and how do you feel about his upcoming season?
Yeah, so I expect to see nothing but respect from Mecole Hardman. I don't think things ended on bad terms. Now I don't think they ended the way that Mecole wanted them to end, being that he was
Just
that
with things,
that
just with
yeah
things.
that yeah being that he
Always.
was that as high as a pick that he was, and who he was supposed to be and materialized to be when he was here in KC. And it just never came to fruition. But I think that Mecole he's in a good spot, right?
Mhm.
He's in a place where he's with another Hall of Fame quarterback. He should be able to have success. This was a guy that had a super high ceiling when he came into KC. I heard Bieniemy compare him to Ocho Cinco at one time. The ceiling was super high for Mecole, but things just seem to
You compared him
change.
with who?
You said the ceiling was high for Mecole.
No, they compared him to who?
They compared him to Ocho Cinco.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I swear to God, Bieniemy compared
No,
him to
I'm
Ocho.
not. I'm not taking away,
But
bro. I'm
but
not. I believe
it's
what you
and,
said.
and it was and there were flashes there though. This is a guy where there were flashes there, but the success just never materialized just due to injury. And this is one of the biggest things. And like I said, we need to headline the show with this. The best ability in football is availability. And Mecole in the latter parts of his career was just not
100%.
available in KC. But
He wasn't available last. He wasn't available last season. The other years, I think he didn't have an injury riddled season until last season, because all his other seasons he had what his first year he had 530. Honestly, he went up each year. I'm not gonna lie. He had 538 in 2019. 560 in 2020, and then 693 in 2021, and then last year he had 297, but he was dealing with injury.
he dealt with injury, and it wasn't, and that's why I said,
One
and it
season.
wasn't, and it was a lot, and was some inconsistencies with drops too. The Mahomes never really trusted him. Mecole was supposed to materialize to be a number one, and he never
Yeah.
really materialized to be a number one. That's the story here, guys. And I'm sorry, I don't know what Dale was trying to get at, but it's the story here is Mecole was supposed to be a number one. We all know that after Tyreek left, the writing on the wall was for him to step up
I
and
don't
become
believe that.
number one. No, it was, but he never. he never took the mantle and never really showed that he could be a number one. And unfortunately, he was injured last year. He didn't have that ability, but and you get guys like KT that come in, and that's the write it on the wall for people like Mecole. Like once we see somebody, and we talked about it in the middle of the season last year. This was off air. We never had this
Yeah,
conversation out loud,
yeah,
but when we brung KT in, and we got because Dale was not he's not a real big college football watcher, and me and another homeboy ours we kind of familiar with KT before he got to the NFL. This was the writing on the wall for Mecole. This was an end around guy, a gadget guy. We just didn't know if he could run deep routes and get open like the Tyreek could. But once we seen that, it was bound to come unless Mecole had an anomaly back into his season where he got healthy and just went crazy.
hmm
Because that's literally the job that Mecole was bringing here to do. KT brought in here and did it 20 times better, and he didn't. It was from day one.
he's a
Mecole
first. He was a first round talent
he
for a reason.
he was, but
Like
Mecole was a great talent as well. Coming out of
second
Georgia,
round.
he played
Second round.
second a
I'm gonna be
second.
honest. It's arguments we should have went for DK Metcalf, but we can save that for another day. We can save that for another day because I'm not going to jump on this and be like, "Oh, Mecole is supposed to be number one." No, when he came in, I'm not going to lie. I was like, I just need him to get 700 to 800 yards, be a legit second option.
And
That's all.
the scary part is the year that he won the Super Bowl, he barely was involved. And
Barely,
that's
yeah.
no shade to Mecole.
Special
And
teams though,
he
yeah,
made some very good plays on special teams, but he was not involved in the offense like Kadarius Toney was. He wasn't even half as instrumental as Kadarius Toney was on this Super Bowl run that we just went on, and he only
Mhm.
went for 200 yards, and we were still able to win. So I think that was the writing on the wall for Mecole right there too. How effective are you when you're winning a Super Bowl? You can be a two-time Super Bowl champion, but how effective were you in
Yeah,
those Super Bowls? You were great on special teams, but as a wide receiver, you made probably one or two plays. He made a great play in the
solid
Cincinnati
catch.
Bengals game, in a Cincinnati Bengals game that we thought we were going to end up winning to Mahomes and him. They just got stalled out the second
Yeah,
half. So like that might have been the breakout game for Mecole Hardman, but it never materialized. It didn't materialize until a playoff win. It didn't materialize until a ring. So I just feel like I think it's definitely going to be respect there, and it's no shade to Mecole Hardman. We love him to death, but it's just like I think the Chiefs just expected more
mhm.
from him, definitely. And they just didn't get that, unfortunately. And hopefully he gives the Jets that, and Aaron Rodgers can show all of the potential that we thought we had with Mecole Hardman. And because we know it's still there, it just has to be unlocked.
Yeah. So respectfully, I would say this. Like, so a lot of people were saying Mecole was coming in as a Tyreek Hill replacement, and I think they just got somebody who can do the same thing as him. Be honest, I think just to fill somewhat of a void because you really
But
can't have a Tyreek Hill.
you
We
say
really
that,
can't.
but that situation, because it was the situation that we were going into
But
that
what's the difference between Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill wasn't lying. He wasn't out there. He went to the organization, said what it was, and the video started coming out. KCTV5, which is why they're not the home of the Chiefs anymore, they ran the stories and they did all of this and they try to paint an image on him. But he let what you're supposed to do in your situation like this. That's why these players. That's why they got PR people and they let the organization handle those things as well too. Because it went out there. They went out there, handled business like it was, and what came out to be truth was the truth. Kareem Hunt, it was over with because it was video footage. I think regardless if you told the truth or not, it was video footage of you stumping that girl. That's all it was. It wasn't no real foot. It wasn't any footage, just a video recording. And in the video recording,
and,
he's saying what like don't come at like you. Hey,
and you're
you know
saying
we can
so,
go
and you
deep
said
into that because we
and you're
gotta have.
saying that warrants, and I'm just trying to get you back on track because I know you was giving your argument. And you
Yeah.
saying that warrants them going and getting Mecole in the second round. You saying they maybe shouldn't have pulled that trigger there because
I would
I
just
feel
go with
like
DK.
I feel like that's the reason that they did it. They didn't know. They didn't know if he
Yeah.
would have been gone for a couple games. They didn't know, but I feel
But
like
his
at the
years
same
at Georgia wasn't that bad. And see, y'all think I don't be watching football, college football like that. No, it's a lot. It's a lot of damn games that go on.
it
It's
is.
a lot of damn games. I'm just because the thing is the difference with college football and the NFL is just when a team dominates somebody, it's just boring. You
It's
know,
boring.
They be out. It just gets boring a little bit. So I look at the highlights. I look at the players, the caliber. I know the top guys that they're talking about throughout the season. It's just you can keep up with that. But I knew Mecole Hardman, like he had good games with Georgia, right? But he wasn't just like a breakout wide receiver at the University of Georgia. I think it's just the name of the team that he was playing for. One of the Power Five teams, Power Five conferences, playing the Power Five conferences. One of the greater college football teams in college football. So I think that gave him a little bit more of a like leverage, saying that he came from an organization that's built somewhat like an NFL organization. So once he come in here, he'll be familiar with the system. But it's just when I look at his tape, it's not. He's a he doesn't have that change of direction or that quick twitch really like Tyreek Hill. That's why I never compared them. He had his own play that fit for him. That's why he was good on those jet sweeps or those in rounds because he got straight. He can make a cut, go upfield, and he got that breakaway speed like that. Tyreek, he was just a different level. Like his athletic ability was just top notch. And it's nothing on Mecole Hardman. Now, I do think he has to prove himself this season. That's why he's on a 1-year deal with the New York Jets. And I think we're going to see a side of him to where, like, okay, I'm not with the Kansas City Chiefs no more. Everybody always talk about being overshadowed by Patrick Mahomes. You wasn't even on star level as Patrick Mahomes, but okay, you're playing with a vet that plays somewhat similar like the quarterback that you had before. What are you going to bring to this offense? What are you going to bring? And that's what I want to see. I want to see his emotions, how he feels coming off of a season to one that it wasn't his best, but you won a Super Bowl. What motivation that gives you? You playing with a team that can compete. They got a great defense. You got one of the greater quarterbacks that ever played the game, Aaron Rodgers. So it's not like you went to someone where you was playing with the Flacco or a Mariota or one of these young guys who's not proven. You going to another proven guy. So I mean, honestly, I respectfully see what you're saying, and I see where he was going with it. I just don't think he was a number one option. Bro.
I
I just
know.
don't.
I not understand that, but I feel like the expectations
We
is
wanted him to be.
yeah, and I feel like this because Scott and KT got the expectation put on them just because Mecole. It's really no other. You know what I'm saying.
Exactly. When
So
Tyreek was
it's
here,
not spoken, but it's what's understood doesn't have to be explained. When
yeah.
Tyreek walked out of the door, Mecole knew his responsibility and duty for the Chiefs, and I don't think he met the expectation that they had for him, and I don't think he met the expectation that he had for himself. It wouldn't have been to go for 200 yards and be the person that was not getting no receiving touchdowns in the Super Bowl. That would not have been. That was not what Mecole planned to do. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, situations happen, and that's what he was in a contract year. That was his situation, and it was unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It was very unfortunate. But we do wish the best for Mecole. Can't wait to see him in Hard Knocks this upcoming season. I'm definitely going to be checking out those episodes. It's going to be right here very soon. I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. They usually start before the preseason start. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully he can meet where I wanted him to be at. Get 700 to 800. I mean, and they got young wide receivers over there as well too. They got like Garrett Wilson and all those other guys.
And
I think
and
they
that's my
traded
thing.
Elijah Moore.
Him
So
make yourself a reliable target. Be that person that
exactly,
you were supposed to be for
him.
Mahomes, right? Be that person that they're going to on third down. Be that person that Aaron Rodgers, when he's looking for somebody who's in trouble, that's who he's going to. So like you have to make yourself that person. Okay, it's
And
not going to be given to you.
and bro, you already a champion too. Now it's time for you to translate that. Let's work on your game more. Let's get you to where we expect you to be, and do that for the next organization. You came in as a rookie, got one. You left as a champion as well too. Got another one. Even though you weren't as you didn't contribute as much this season, but you played a part in it. You had 4 touchdowns this year, and you had some big parts in those games as well too.
Absolutely.
Now let's translate that for an organization that is looking to like get back up in those talks of being playoff contenders, making it to the Super Bowl, playing with a vet like Aaron Rodgers. Now you're not going to go to the Super Bowl because we're going to the Super Bowl. But
And that's the how it goes.
this is your 1 year. Let not 700, 800. Let's get to 1,000 plus. Let's be that reliable target for Aaron Rodgers because he does like veteran receivers, and they added guys like Lazard as well too. With his guy Random Cobb as well.
And no
So
Cobb, yeah.
I mean, you that wide receiver room is full, but at the same time, you have a higher ceiling than a lot of those guys. Him and Garrett Wilson for sure. Cobb, he's already a veteran. He's old. He's just someone who's coming over, just bringing that veteran experience to the wide receiver room for Aaron Rodgers. And then Lazard was somewhat, it was a familiar guy from over there in Green Bay as well too. So you know, we'll see what it is. But we're jumping on to our next topic. All right, the Chiefs listed 9 players. Well, Chiefs fan site, excuse me, Chiefs Wire, excuse me, Chiefs Wire. They made an article and they listed 9 players who need to have a strong training camp that is coming up. And before I get your opinion on it, Lonnie, let me go ahead and just list all the players that they have listed in this article. So at number 9, they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Number 8, they have Willie Gay Jr. 7, Justin Ross. 6, Shane Buechele. 5, Lucas Niang. 4, Richie James. 3, Delon Malik Herring. 2, Danny Shelton. And then 1, Deion Bush. So, Lonnie, what's your thoughts about that? And out of those players, or a couple players, who you feel needs to have a strong training camp to sustain a spot on the 53-man roster?
Yeah, so I'm going to go for sure with Lucas Niang and Richie James, just because those are 2 positions that are just loaded, right? You have tackles, you got Jawan Taylor, Donovan Smith, Kennard, even though they said they were going to mix him in at guard, Wanye Morris, and you got Niang. So I feel like he's going in there with in a heated battle with some guys that are proven, some guys that were brought in on contract. I feel like this is a time for Niang to kind of prove himself. He was that first pick. That's the only one that's really left in that room. If we don't remember, before Niang went down, Niang was a starter alongside Orlando Brown for that offensive line of the Chiefs until Andrew Wiley eventually beat him out for that job and sustained it, and never really allowed Niang to come, Lucas Niang to come back and get his position back after he went down from that patella injury, that horrific injury that he had against the Bengals. So it's just he's just kind of weeded himself out, being that Wiley Andrew just showed up so big and was so successful. But fortunately, Andrew has moved on. And got a better deal with the Washington Commanders, and it's gone on to really show that he can be that top end tackle talent that we always knew he could be. Now I think it's time for Lucas to try and take that role, and if he can't take that role, and I hate to say it, have a damn near perfect training camp. I don't see him. He might not make the 53, just depending on how the rookie looks. Wanye and you got Jawan Taylor, like I said, Donovan Smith. They said Kennard, they'll mix him in at guard, and I know he also came from the tackle position. So it's some competition in that room. And then I go on to Richie James. I mean, we've spoken about this room before to the likes of Justin Ross, to the likes of Rashee Rice, Justin Watson. Who else we have in there? MVS, Sky Moore. The room is loaded. It speaks for itself. You have to show that you can be effective in more. And I think this is the key thing here. You have to show that you can be effective in more than one way when you're going to be in that room. Not just be a gadget guy, but show that you can not only probably run into rounds, but get open on third down consistently. Show that you have consistent hands. Show that you can run the deep stuff, and show that you can kind of be that anomaly playmaker that the Chiefs not were missing, but just wanted to add. So I feel like that's going to be key. If you want to make that 53 in Richie, I feel like it's going to have to show that. I know he played with San Francisco. He made some plays last year with Denny Dimes up there in New York. I know he was pretty good in San Francisco on special teams. So I feel like Richie has to show those flashes because he's in a room full of dogs, right? In a room full of people with a lot of potential, and some proven guys. Justin Watson being a proven guy, Justin Ross being a guy that they're banking on a lot of potential, and even we forget about the guys like John Ross who are in that room that ran a 4.2 not too long ago that was with the Bengals and it didn't work out. So it's a lot of talent in that room. You have to do something to separate yourself. The depth is there. And I feel like he's going to have to damn near have a perfect preseason and training camp as well. But those are my two standouts on that list. How about yourself? What did you have as far as the standouts?
I'm just going with Richie James and Justin Ross because them are the guys who's going to be battling for a position spot because we went over that wide receiver room already before and we listed the guys that we would expect to be on there and honestly those two were really the odd guys out. I love John Ross, but I think the Chiefs are looking at it to where okay, he already has some history of where he wasn't able to sustain himself in the league already, and then having these young guys who are you got Justin Ross who has a potential, and then Richie James who already established himself as a special talent, being a good special teams player, but also making great plays on the offense as well too. I feel like you're just gonna want that type of talent on your offense and with a younger age. So I think Justin Ross and Richie James are going to be the ones who have to have a standout camp to sustain themselves on that 53-man roster because they will be the ones who will be battling for that last position spot. Like I said, you already had Justin Watson who already has a deal, who signed back to a 2-year deal. I feel like that guarantees a spot for him. MBS is already on a 3-year deal as well too. He's going to be going into year 2 of that deal, and he made some solid plays throughout the season and in the playoffs as well. And then you have KT, Sky Moore, Rashid Rice, who these guys are expected to have big years and really feeding off of that. They're expected to really be the standouts on the offensive side and in that wide receiver group. And then you have the possibility of adding DeAndre Hopkins, who's waiting for a extension for Chris Jones. Like I said before, DeAndre Hopkins, you can see if he was going to sign somewhere already, he would have been assigned. He's really waiting to see what's happening with the deal and what cap that they have left for them to offer him a deal because it looks like he is planning on coming to Kansas City for that year, for a year or two. It looks like these guys have to step up and be like, hey, I'm solidifying myself. I got me a spot on this roster. And they're going to have to do it. So, I mean, that's just my opinion on that. But everyone else, I think, Niang will be fine because right now, as of now, he don't really have a starting spot. They're going with Jawan Taylor. And it looks like they might go with Donovan Smith, but he has to be ready if Donovan Smith, fails and they need to push Jawan Taylor over to the left and he goes to right. So he needs to be ready because, we like that depth in the offensive line room. So I think he's going to be all right. He's going to be okay. Shane Buechele, I don't know why he on the list. Chad Henne is retired now. All he has to do is just have another good preseason again and then just do his part in scouting team and camp and as the season go on. So, and then also they make that rule as well too, to where we can carry a third quarterback. He's fine. Clyde, we talked about him before. What he needs to do to have a good upcoming season. He was a first round pick. They're going to give him a chance to show what he need to do. All he has to do is just do his part. And we saw what he did in previous seasons when he was healthy as well. He has a knack to get into the end zone. He's a great receiving back as well too. And when healthy, he's very dominant and he can have a 100+ yard game as well. So we already know the potential we have in Willie Gay. I think they just have him up here just for next season because he's going to make it. He's going to make it. Now having a strong training camp could play him out above Drew Tranquil, right? Where it's like, don't get rid of me. Don't move on to that.
Yeah.
Drew Tranquil is going to be a guy who comes in, who's able to be a part of that 4-3 scheme that we have and be that third linebacker who can play at a high level as well too. Yeah. So when you look at the list, it's like Richie James and Justin Ross. Justin Ross then got overhyped throughout the training camp and throughout even last season when we picked him up as well too. And I love him and I'm hyping him as well, but he has to live up to that hype. Richie James came over from New York. I mean, and then he's been getting praised as well too. Like, hey, this is a phenomenal player. Like, and then Dave Toom already said, like, Dave Toom said already, if he makes it, he's going to be the kick return, punt return. Yeah, they're gonna take the guys off. They're gonna still switch it up and stuff like that too. But with Isaiah Pacheco becoming like a part of that running back group to where he's getting more reps on the offensive side and being considered a starter, they're gonna want to take him away from kick returns, right? So you have a guy like that that can be able to go in, and then also you can use him on the offense as well too. It just makes perfect sense. It just makes perfect sense. So them are my standouts. We'll see how it goes. Camp starts Tuesday. Tomorrow, Rookie's going to be showing up, and then the quarterbacks as well. The veterans going to be coming in on Thursday and Friday, and then it looks like the first date for people to come on is like on that Sunday, the 23rd. So it's going to be exciting. We're gonna see how it goes. It's gonna be fun, and we're gonna have more content to look at as well too, and break that down with you guys. So be on the lookout for that as well. Now let's go ahead and jump into our last topic. We've been waiting all week. Lonnie been waiting for me to get done. He finished like that day of and then watch it again. I'm like, bro, my wife is trying to watch it too. You know how they be. They need
Yeah.
a break from football for a little bit. We get like 2 or 3 episodes in. She want to stop. She's like, just go ahead and finish it. I sure did. Because that last episode, I'm acting like I haven't seen the games already. Like I'm as hyped and intense. Like what's going on? But Lonnie, what were your thoughts about that quarterback series? Because it was phenomenal. I like the I like the different perspectives that we got to see, and I know we were against seeing Marcus Mariota and stuff like that. I'm still kind of it's better than what I thought to see that perspective, but man, it's just I don't like seeing people sad all the time like that.
Yeah.
Like every time he was on the screen, he just wasn't feeling confident, and I don't want to see that. Especially with someone who had great years at Oregon,
Absolutely.
who had solid seasons with the Titans. I mean, this is a dude who had that spectacular play against us
Yes. Heisman
and
Trophy
knocked us
winner.
out of the divisional round. Like, come
Yeah.
on. So, what's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I love the quarterback series. I like the three different perspectives. I feel like it helped us. Like I told Dale, and I was speaking to Dale and his wife about it. It gives us a lot of perspective as to those lives that we think are so easy, right? So many people think that glitz and glamour and the $1 million it fixes everything. It fixes all your problems. You don't have to really worry about anything or anything like that, and it doesn't. Those lives are just as hard as ours. The work that they put in, and the work that their wives put in is just a testament to where they are in their life, and how far they made it. As if they don't work as a cohesive unit at home, it's hard to work as a cohesive unit on the field. And as you can see, all of their homes are under control, and I love to see that. I feel like it just gave a lot of
Man,
life perspective, as far as needing to grow as people, right? What we need to grow and what we need to see as so many things, so many times we get the modern day woman in this world confused, with the likes of Aries and all the beautiful women that we have now and all the famous girls we have now, and we lose sight of those women that take care and are there to, like Kirk Cousins' wife, getting dressed. Marcus Mariota's wife is carrying a child, just like my girlfriend now is carrying a child. So it's a lot of things that we can
and
just relate
lady,
to as far as men. Patrick Mahomes going into work early, and working all day, and like Brittany said, she has the kids till 7:30. He's going in at 7 a.m. in the morning, so he's gone all day, 10 hours. So it's a testament to the family, to the men, to the women, to how they work and what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and that they're able to come home and decompress from that, escape from that, and just read their daughter a book or read their son a book, and kind of interact with their family. So many times we think these people aren't human, and it shows that they were human. They're human like us. They go through things like us. They deal with pain and go through different triumphs and get through things together. Their good times, their sad times, sometimes the bad outweighs the good. In Marcus Mariota's situation, the bad outweighed the good. But in my home situation, you have a situation where he was very successful. He made it to the limelight. He climbed the mountaintop, as we say in football. He made it to the football mountaintop, ended up winning the Lombardi. And then you have people like Kirk Cousins that got to the middle of the pack and ended up fell a little bit short. So I feel like he gave a lot of perspective into just the
It was
life.
really three sides, like three
Uh,
sides we need to see.
yeah,
Champion, one who lost in the playoffs early, one who didn't make it to the playoffs got benched. That was the best. That was the
yes,
best you could have got for the
it
first
was
year, for the
perspective.
first season.
Yes, it was great perspective, and I feel like it just shows like you gotta. Everything is a team, right? It takes a team. It takes a village to what we used to say. It
It's
takes a village to
successful.
raise a child. So
Yeah.
like it takes everyone to work together to be successful. Even and not even not to be successful. Sometimes you fall short too, and that's what we have to talk about here. And I feel like I'm sorry we didn't give Marcus Mariota his just due. Sometimes you do fall short, guys. Sometimes you do put in work, and his wife was sitting in there reading them plays. She's pregnant, and they're going over pet plays, and he's trying to remember cards, note cards, and plays in his head, and yet he falls short, and he gets benched. So it like I was explaining to Dale, it's about life perspective because that man goes from making that $1 million that he was making to possibly not knowing where he's going to live in the next coming months. So it's
Yeah.
like it's hard. It's bigger. It's bigger than just the glitz and glamour. It's bigger than just all the cameras and the pictures that we see at games and the stuff that we read. It's real life. These are people's lives. These are people's day-to-day jobs. This is how they provide for their families, and this is how they provide for their children when their children are coming. And they still have to deal with stuff too. So I feel like it just gave a great perspective. We can sometimes think these type of people are robots, and they're
Exactly.
not people, and that like I told Dale, one of the coolest things was just seeing Mahomes get on his dogs. Like, okay, the dude is human. He's human. He's a regular dude. He
Yeah.
goes outside. If somebody sees a dog acting up, he's going to get the dog. He doesn't care if it's an interview going on. So like,
I was
it's
just
just he's a real person. So I feel like it let us see them as real people, and it let us give a different perspective. I feel like everyone needs to watch that. It you don't all relationships where there's a lot of money and there's an influx of fame. It's not always rip and run and all over the place and it's Blueface and Krishan. It's none of that. It is it's a cohesive unit that continues to make that work, and that's why they're successful and they're able to go through the things that they need to go through. I'm just saying because I feel
stop
like
what you just
I
said.
just feel like because I feel like a lot of days, a lot of times, and especially around in our age, people get caught up in we get caught up in so much of the other stuff and not the
Mhm.
traditional, right? Or like not the real way because we always want to base our relationships off of stuff like that, but we don't take a look and see like, okay, these are somebody else that's in that upper echelon too, and this is how they operate. And
Yeah.
this is why they're able to be successful. And this is why Brittany is a half owner of a soccer team in Kansas City. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like you gotta really know how to operate in certain spaces and how to carry yourself. So I mean like and they fall short too. They don't do everything right. They cuss and they're cussing. They said Mahomes MFing and everything all through the Netflix series. So it's
Damn, bro, you taking everything I'm trying to talk about.
they're human. It just showed that they're human. I loved it. I like the humanality of it. I love the perspective that it gives for men and women. I feel like everybody should watch it. If I didn't campaign it enough for y'all, I'm sorry. I probably should have shot a promo. Y'all should have signed me before I gave y'all that credit. But I loved it. I liked it. I'm gonna watch it again.
Honestly, I think our views align pretty much similar about the series. It was just very entertaining to see because we like it felt like a series long of what you've seen with like mic'd ups or like what we seen with like the Chiefs little franchise thing that they had going on, or those like Super Bowl mic'd ups or playoff mic'd ups to where you get those interactions of live talks on the field, but with exclusive content of looking outside, what they doing on the outside as well too. It was just very entertaining. Like I really, my favorite part was just seeing Mahomes go off and talk bad to Reed and Eric Bieniemy arguing with Nagy. It's like, yeah, bro, like this is what we go through at our jobs too. Because I'm in it with a company where you gotta be a team, right? But you feel like you ain't listening. Hey, bro, I just told you I'm good. I don't got time for that. And but it just shows his competitive nature, and it does make sense when the enemy did call him a competitive prick. He wasn't saying it as like he's an actual prick. He's someone who you don't like or anything like that. But when it comes to a talent like that, especially who's a winner, who comes from that type of circle with his pops being a professional baseball player, it's like I gotta listen to what he says as a coach because he has that same mindset that I have, and I've been doing this for years on, right? But he been around somebody who did it just as long as you as well too, though. And I was raised by him. So that's how I'm coming. This is how I know how to win. This is how I know how to ball out. But it was phenomenal to see like the wives though in the series as well too, because it's I was even talking to I was talking to my wife about that. I was like, I think that's something that might be lacking with this generation that's coming up because the women as well, they're trying to sustain success as well too. And trying to move in the right life and like not be dependent on a man. And I definitely love that. But seeing where this works for them though. Patrick and Brittany, they're a team. Kirk and Julie, they're a team. Marcus can Kiyomi, if I'm saying it right, they're a team. Like, you know,
Team.
Brittany came from playing sports herself. She had to even with Mahomes moving because he became his NFL draft. He was drafted in the NFL. It's not that she had to stop what she was doing, but she wasn't at a professional level for doing soccer. But she was great in college. She went to the University of Tyler while he went to Texas Tech. So it's just she been a part of that culture before and understands what he's going through, and that what makes it easier for him. He found someone that understands that, like, hey, these days when I'm at the office, I'm at the headquarters, and I'm working like you're working for you working all the way up to this week for that Sunday game. You doing this for 17 straight weeks plus the playoffs, depending on when you go in. Usually with us, we got 3 games winning. If not wild card, you got 4 games winning. So you got additional weeks after that. So she has to wait all the way to March where she can have her time off. That takes a strong. That takes a strong individual to do that.
And then it doesn't. And then you
I
start
mean,
right back up in June.
and this is not no, and it's nothing for the single mothers as well
I'm
too.
sorry,
Because
not June, July. I'm sorry.
yeah, exactly. And it's nothing for the single mothers or nothing like that, right? Like we understand what you guys go through as well, and you
Absolutely.
have definitely built a foundation to where your kids can be able to be successful. You had to do it a different route, but for a married couple who when you have that bond and you expecting to be laying by him at night at a certain time, sometimes he can't do that in this sport. And what you think other sports are going through as well too. Baseball, they play 82 games a year. 182, right? 82, 182.
182. Yep.
NBA play 82. The NFL only plays 17. Well, week 18, but you only play 17 games now, plus the playoffs. But throughout those weeks, leading up to it, it feels like forever.
Feels like forever. It's so much
So,
that goes into a game. But yeah, go
mhm.
ahead.
No, you could have went on to it,
Well,
but yeah,
yeah.
yeah, go.
Yeah, it's so much that goes into a game, and I feel like it showed that too. Like, and that's where, and we don't want to make this a relationship talk because it's not as Chiefs talk, it's quarterback talk, but
But this is about the quarterbacks.
it's
It's
about
about
the
the quarterback
series, and
series.
we're just giving perspective. I feel like this is good. Wow, it's good for all parties to watch it, men and women. Especially if you're a couple, it's good for you to watch it. It shows cohesiveness, and that's the
Athletes
biggest
too.
thing.
College
Yes,
athletes too. See
college
what you
athletes
might
too.
be,
Yeah,
what you're going to be going through. The college quarterbacks
yeah.
who are expected to be,
Kids that
uh,
want to play quarterback.
yeah.
Like, just see what it is to really play quarterback in the NFL. See what it is to get, like, Kirk Cousins getting hit in the ribs. Like, just like, oh my God. Like, and he put it all in perspective when he reads that book to his son at the end of the season. Right. So, like, when the season is over, he's winding down. He just lost his playoff game. He's trying to come down as a parent. This is his profession. His profession. He goes to work to win games. He just lost one of the biggest games of the year, and he comes to read his son a book, a Sports Illustrated book, on why you can't hit quarterbacks. Why we're not hitting quarterbacks low anymore. And this is a man that just took a beating for the last 17 weeks in the ribs. And they documented every single hit that he took. So it's like
Yep.
it puts everything. It does a whole three. It gives you it puts everything into perspective. And it
Yep.
shows like it's bigger than just playing football, right?
Hmm.
It's about really bringing things a whole 360, bringing it everything all the way around, and making it like you said. It takes a village. Like I said, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
It takes a village to get people through everything that they're going through on a day-to-day basis. Me and you going through work. It takes everyone around everyone to work together, to pull together to make stuff happen. And that's what these guys showed. I think like
Be
we have a
successful.
team around us, whether it be a trainer, whether it be the trainer that Mahomes was seeing for his ankle. So whether it be Bobby, the trainer that he was dealing with that got him right on his A, B, and C day through the week, where he's still going to practice. Like this is like stuff that you see from like animals. Like this is crazy. Like he's working like a madman. Still,
Yeah.
so like this is ridiculous. So
Yeah. The
um,
workout.
it, it,
The workouts with Bobby was insane.
yeah, like and it's during the season. This is in season workouts plus practice. So we're not talking about this is just that we're not talking about an off season. This is like you go to practice and then you're coming here and doing a workout with Bobby. Okay, so like, all right, Patrick, we're going a little
And
bit
he got
hard
an
here,
A
but
day, B day, and C day as well too.
A day, B day,
And
and
he doing
C
that
day.
three
So like
days throughout the week.
3 days a week, and that's why I said, what do you think is going on with the family? Now, granted, we don't know if we ever seen if Pat had an addy or nanny or anything. We don't. Now, Brittany wasn't with him. Now, every time Britt was around, she did have a baby usually. So it's like usually I'm saying it's a cohesive unit, nevertheless, and that's why I keep saying I feel like it's good for all parties to watch. I feel like everybody needs to watch it, even the kids that want to be quarterbacks, and the people that just want to get a different perspective. Because, like I said, we get caught up in those lives so much and see the $400 million contracts and think like, oh, you ain't got no problems. You will never have a problem, right? Until he's on the
Yeah.
table and his ankle, and he can barely walk or move, and he has to go play a game that he's wanting to win and he needs to win. It's contingent on his legacy. He's a big player on legacy, so like
Mhm.
it's not big until you see how big it really is and how much work is put in and how much effort and time is put in. And for them
Yeah.
to go lose those games or win those games, like man, it has to take a toll on you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was phenomenal, bro. It was phenomenal. It was great.
Phenomenal, yeah,
It
to say
was.
the
That's
least.
all I can say. Now, before we hit end it off, what three quarterbacks you would like to see on season two?
Um, I don't know, because I really don't want to be on the other end of the documentary. So, but I really want to see LJ for sure because we brung that one up. I want to see him, um, and then of course like it has to be Joey B or Josh, um, or both of them. But it'll be hard. I know like I don't. We can't do it all NFC, but yeah, like one of those guys because I mean you see what Mahomes did. Um, like he's and like Peyton said, he went on the Pat McAfee show and said, "I don't want to hear that you can't win or you can't focus and do the documentary."
Mhm.
Because Pat
Yeah.
and Kurt and Marcus did phenomenal, and where Pat went on to win the Super Bowl with all the cameras, everything around. So he does. That's not what he doesn't want to hear. That anybody can do the documentary, but I think Pat. I think Josh, or Joey B, and then um, we have to get some NFC guys in there. Um,
Well, they did. So they had two NFC and then one AFC, which was Pat on this one. So
yeah,
I would say if you do the two, honestly, this is who I think. I would like to see LJ. You're gonna be like, you'd be like, for this one. Either okay, I'll say this: either between LJ or Tua, just because of that season he had last year, or how he was dealing with the head injuries, and see his process of what he can do this season. Because they're going to cover the whole season, right?
uh-huh.
Hopefully, it's successful, right? But I think that would be a good outlook of it. Or LJ, who was kind of what I feel you'll probably want to see, just because he dealt with that before. But he had MVP season, had one of his best seasons as well too with the Ravens, and then what he just did now. Creating his own contract, that'd be phenomenal to see, and then see what the process of his season is this year. Uh, I think it's easy to say Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, so I'm gonna go on a different route. So I said Okay, I just put them together. So I say LJ and Tua, NFC.
See, it's hard.
You got to do Jalen.
Yeah, because
Jalen.
and that's sad because all the NFC quarterbacks are trash.
I
All
want to
right,
say
I
all.
didn't mean to say that, but
I was because
I,
because NFC you got Dak, you got Jalen, like I said.
who else?
I think I don't know.
I'll wait.
You got Jared Goff for the Lions. That could be probably like your Kirk Cousins story right there, like we had his. Uh, we go down to each team. Washington, they got rookies, so that's supposed to be like what's his name? Sam Howell.
Or
So
Heineke, right?
or Heineke. Nobody want to see that. Not trying to be rude. I'm trying to think of all the NFC teams. We already did.
Gino.
Gino would
I
be
think
good.
Gino. I think Gino would be a good one.
Let me. I don't know
I
why.
think no, but
Oh,
no. I'm just telling you now. They suck. It's none. It's they're rookies. Bryce Young is over there. Justin Fields is over there.
hold on. You got Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford, but it's like they're good quarterbacks. Let me not say they suck. I'm sorry. I take that back. They don't suck. It's just not. They're not.
I mean, it's just not the best conference right now. But Jordan Love first season being a starter.
Yeah,
That'd
Jordan
be
Love. Oh yeah, that would be a good one. That'd be a good one. Let's go. Let's go. Joey B.
Derek Carr just went
Josh
over to the
Allen.
Saints. Derek Carr just went over to the Saints. I'm just saying, hey, but they always hyped up the Raiders each year with us. What he's gonna look like with him in the NFC. Just saying. So
Good luck.
honestly, I just make it simple. LJ, Tua, Jalen.
Yeah, that's cool. See, and
There you
I'm
go.
gonna say I forgot that. Who did we just say that was over there? Jordan Love,
Check
Josh,
out
and Jordan Love, Josh, and Joey B. That's what I'm saying.
Joey B. That'd be cool. That'd be good. That'd be good. Cause for sure they're gonna go deep into the playoffs, right? That's what you're expecting. So you want to have it to where it doesn't seem like all of those guys at one time. You're not going to be lucky in like with this first season and Mahomes with the Super Bowl one. That that was probably pure luck off of that. Just praying for that. So
Yeah.
it's they have some options, but we got to keep in mind who's going to be willing to do it as well too. Like we already said, Peyton said it's no excuse. So if you don't want to do it, I mean, hey, that's your preference though. We're not gonna take nothing against you. But that's all we have for this episode of Chiefin With Daily Dale. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, KC Sports Company on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow me on my social media platforms as well too. Facebook Dale Fowler Jr., Twitter Dale E. Fowler, Instagram Daily_Dale 39. And then for Lonny, Instagram __ Lano LONO __ Twitter __ Lano LONNO. All right. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, nope. Go watch that quarterback series, y'all. Let us know what y'all think.
Knock it out. It's quick. It's only 8 episodes. It's
8
fun to
episodes.
watch.
And
You'll
if
probably
y'all
get
can
done.
bring the lady in, bring her in there, and be like, "Hey, man, just come watch this. Watch a couple episodes, and
We didn't
just
watch
see."
8 episodes before where, it was interesting. We was into it and
Yeah,
stuff like that and got it done throughout the day. You can do it with this one. It's about 50 minutes each episode. I say the last one was almost close to an hour just because it had more to it as well, too,
yeah,
especially with the atmosphere of the game that was going on throughout that one for Patrick Mahomes. But it's not, it goes by. It gets by. And consistently, I would say they headed to where it's like Patrick Mahomes, Kirk, and Mariota, and they might start off with one of them at the beginning, like wherever they ended off at, they probably cover that a little bit more and then go straight into that same order that they were doing. So they had it positioned well, and it made sense because as it was falling off, it was falling off, and Pat was the one who was first anyway, so it kind of made sense because
yeah.
how it was going with the playoffs and stuff like that and benchings and everything. But yeah, that's all we have for this episode. We'll talk to you on the next one.